In today's class, we are going to discuss about the five kingdom classification. There are so many living organisms, billions and trillions on our earth. There are plants, animals, bacteria, viruses, microbes, all of these are there present, and they are so huge in number, and the diversity is so huge that for the purpose of studying them and to ease the process of studying them, we have divided them into different groups, and the process of grouping the organisms into a particular group on the basis of their similarity and differences is known as classification. To classify the organisms into different groups, the first thing we need to know is what is a species. So a species is a group of organisms that may interbreed, that is, they reproduce within themselves and they produce fertile offsprings, that is, the organisms that are produced from two organisms mating is also capable of giving rise to another organism of its same kind. In the picture we can see that the two brown colored toads are actually interbreeding or mating between them, and the same type of offspring is produced. And in case of the two green colored toads, they are interbreeding or mating between themselves and a green colored toad is produced. Now this green colored toad and the brown colored toad, those two are actually different species and they cannot interbreed themselves and they cannot produce a fertile offspring. They might interbreed between themselves, but the offspring that is produced, that is either infertile or that is not viable. So a species is a group of organisms that interbreed among themselves and produce fertile offspring. The classification is quite difficult and it is actually done in hierarchical manner. It is not a linear scheme of classification that we follow in case of every different organism. So the levels of the classification are actually known as the categories or the taxon. Since the science of classification is called taxonomy, so all the individual levels are called taxons. So in the picture we can see the different taxons are like kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species. So in this order we are moving from the broadest domain or the largest domain to the smallest domain. So the broadest domain is kingdom and the smallest domain is the species. And in case of the right hand picture, the broadest domain is the domain, that is eukarya, and then we are moving to the genus and species, which are the smallest one. So these two pictures are actually similar, but they are just inverted in one and it is just the opposite in the other. But we can move from the broadest domain to the smallest domain. So in both the cases, the broadest domain is actually eukarya, but in the left hand picture eukarya is not shown. And then we can start from the kingdom. Kingdom is the starting point of every categorization or classification. And inside the kingdom there are many phylums. One of the phylum is chordata among kingdom Animalia. Then under chordata or under phylum chordata there are so many classes, and one of the classes is Mammalia. And among Mammalia class there are so many orders, and one of the order is Carnivora. Similarly, among the order Carnivora there are so many families, and one of the family of the similar character is called Canidae. Now in the Canidae family there are so many genus, but one of the genus with the similar character is the Canis genus. And the Canis genus is having two species. One is Canis latrans and another is Canis lupus, which is coyote and the grey wolf. So the coyote and the grey wolf are of the same genus but different species. But they are of same family, same order, same class, same phylum, same kingdom and same domain. But only the species is different. So by this process, we are actually moving at each step, and each step is known as taxon. Now we are coming to the representation of the species. In biological world, every species is represented by a very unique scientific name, and that scientific name is a two-part scientific name. First part is of the name of the genus that the organism belongs to, and the second part is the species that the organism belongs to. Similarly, we have a name and a surname. So in case of the scientific name of the organism, the name is just the genus and the surname is the species. And we have a common, all the organisms have a common name also, but the scientific name is actually divided into two parts. It is called genus and species. Since the scientific name is divided into two parts, it is called binomial nomenclature. Bi means two and nomial means name, and nomenclature is the process of naming organisms. Now, binomial nomenclature or the scientific names are done in Latin language. Why Latin language? Because the scientific names are universal and unique for a single organism all over the world. So it makes communication in the scientific world easy. Suppose a scientist is coming from Russia and he is referring to the pebble crab, and someone is coming from England and he is also referring to the pebble crab. Now both of them don't know Russian and English, each other's language they don't know. But if they refer to the pebble crab by the scientific name, that is known to both of them. So for the ease of communication purpose, the scientific name is given, and it is done in Latin language, because the Latin language is a dead language. So there are no more changes that can be done to the language. So whenever a name is given to a particular organism, it is constant and it is unique and it is universally and widely accepted. Now in case of the pebble crab, the scientific name is Xanthias lamarcki. The Xanthias is the genus name and the lamarcki is the species name. Similarly, if we look at the more examples, Panthera leo. Panthera leo is the scientific name of lion. Panthera is the genus name, Leo is the species name. In case of jaguar, the scientific name is Panthera onca, and Panthera is the genus name and onca is the species name. In case when the scientific names are printed in books, they are printed in italics. When we write the scientific name in our handwriting, we have to underline the genus and the species separately. That is the rule of writing the scientific name by binomial nomenclature. Now we are coming to the 5 kingdom classification, and the first kingdom of the 5 kingdom is kingdom Monera. And kingdom Monera consists of the unicellular prokaryotic organisms, that are the bacteria. So all the organisms of the kingdom Monera are single-celled, that is they are made up of a single cell, and they mainly includes bacteria. No organized nucleus is present and the genetic material is diffused in the cell cytoplasm. No nuclear membrane is present, so they are called prokaryotic, and since they are prokaryotic, no membrane bound organelles are also present. So these are the salient features of kingdom Monera. We are taking a step forward to some developed organisms than kingdom Monera, and we are here with kingdom Protista. In case of the representatives of kingdom Protista, they are still unicellular just like kingdom Monera, but different. Unlike kingdom Monera, the representatives of kingdom Protista are eukaryotic in nature, that is they have membrane bound organelles present inside their cell, and also the nuclear material or the genetic material that is present inside their cell is membrane bound. Now some of the members of the kingdom Protista are green members, that is they have chlorophyll in their body, so they can trap the solar energy and they can make their own food. So they are called autotrophs. Example is Chlamydomonas. And similarly, there are some other non-green members which do not have chlorophyll in their body, so they cannot make their own food, and they are called heterotrophic, and example is amoeba. Most of the members of kingdom Protista are unicellular, but very few are multicellular as well. The third kingdom is kingdom Fungi, and it is containing all the mushrooms, bread molds, etc. So they are usually multicellular. So we have already moved again one more step to some developed organisms. They are multicellular and eukaryotic. Usually multicellular, very few members of kingdom Fungi are unicellular. They are achlorophyllous. That means that they don't have chlorophyll in their body. So they are heterotrophic. Obviously they cannot make their own food, and they are saprophytic. What is the type of heterotrophy they are having? They are saprophytic. What does saprophytic mean? Saprophytic means that the representatives of the kingdom Fungi grow on dead organic matters like the rotten leaves and rotten logs of the tree, then the human excreta or animal excreta, etc. All of these dead organic matters grow kingdom Fungi, and they absorb their nutrients from all of these dead organic matters. And kingdom Fungi is made up of hyphae, which are some network-like structures with a lot of nucleus in the cytoplasm. Because the cell does not break, like the nucleus only divides but cytoplasm does not divide. So as the picture we can see that the cytoplasm is continuous throughout the cell, but the number of nuclei is so many inside them. So those are called the hyphae, multicellular hyphae. Then the kingdom we are here with is kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Plantae is containing the plants which are multicellular, eukaryotic, autotrophic, because they have chlorophyll. So they are multicellular plants and they are very developed plants. And kingdom Plantae is further subdivided into thallophyte, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Thallophytes are the algae, moss are the bryophytes, ferns are the pteridophytes, gymnosperms are the pine, cedar, etc. and angiosperms are the flowering plants. The last and the most developed kingdom is kingdom Animalia. It is containing all the animals, fishes, birds, reptiles, mammals, amphibians, invertebrates, everything. So the kingdom Animalia is the most developed kingdom in the evolutionary tree. The representatives of kingdom Animalia are made up of more than one cell, and they have a very complex body. So they are multicellular. They are eukaryotic, that is their nuclear material is enclosed by a nuclear membrane, and membrane bound organelles are present inside their cell. They are heterotrophic. They do not have chlorophyll in their body, and so they cannot make their own food, and they depend on the autotrophic organisms, just the green plants, for their nutrition. And most of the representatives of kingdom Animalia are mobile organisms. The main difference between animal and plants is that the plants cannot move from one place to another. They are sessile. But in case of the representatives of Animalia, most of them are mobile organisms. That is, they can move from one place to another. But few exceptions are present, like the sponges and the corals, which are non-mobile.